Day two in the federal trial of a former Louisville police officer who fired into Breonna Taylor's apartment the night she was killed.
Brett Hankison is in court this week for violating the civil rights of Taylor and several others during the botched 2020 raid. Jim Stratman is on this story for us in the studio with more. And Jim, a key decision could be made in this trial today.
Yeah, exactly. Here in just a few hours, we're going to get back to jury selection when it comes to this trial, the federal trial, centering around two charges of deprivation of rights, one for unreasonable seizure and one for deprivation of liberty without due process. Now, close to 50 potential jurors were brought in for questioning yesterday as the prosecution and defense looked to whittle that number down to about 16. During this process, the goal is to try to create an unbiased jury pool. So a lot of questions were asked like, do you believe there should be more or less scrutiny of police officer conduct? What is your impression of Black Lives Matter movement? And also questions gauging what the group knows about Breonna Taylor's death investigation. That allows both sides to try to get that number down, and when we finally do get to 16, the trial can officially begin. Hankison is one of 4 former LMPD officers now facing federal charges. Kelly Goodlip previously pleaded guilty to helping falsify the search warrant. Joshua James and Kyle Meany are also charged with conspiring to violate Taylor's civil rights. The Associated Press reports they're set to be tried together next year. Now, today will primarily be focused on finalizing the jurors for this trial. But if by chance that we do get finished early enough with that process, we could get into opening statements and hear exactly how the prosecutors plan to lay out their evidence, and also if the defense will use a similar approach to the one that got Hankison acquitted in his state trial. In that trial, he was acquitted on 3 counts of wanton endangerment for firing into a neighboring apartment during the raid that killed Breonna Taylor. Eric, Grace?
Jim, thank you. We will be there this morning as jury selection continues in the Hankison case. If there is movement, we will keep you updated on air and online at WHAS11.com.
3 minutes after 6 now this morning, all employees at the Kentucky truck plant can head back to work. They've been called back following 2 weeks of striking while the United Auto Workers Union and Ford hashed out a tentative new deal. The return to work affects 8,700 Ford employees at that plant alone. It is the most profitable Ford plant in all of America. In the update from Ford, the company said Monday was the first day back for many employees across the country, and that comes as UAW announced a deal with General Motors.
We're officially suspending our stand-up strike against each of the big 3.
GM was the final holdout after Ford and Stellantis reached deals last week. Workers will receive a 25% pay raise over the next 4.5 years, and they'll get an 11% raise immediately once that deal is signed. The contract also includes cost of living adjustments and a boost to retirement incomes. Union workers still have to vote on and approve these contracts.
In some other news this morning, part of Dixie Highway is back open now after shutting down for several hours because of a deadly crash. It happened just after 5 last night near Orel Road and Valley Station. Metro Police say a driver crossed the center line, hit a semi head-on, then hit another car. That driver died at the scene and nobody else was hurt.
A Hardin County man is facing murder charges after police say he killed his own father. Radcliffe police say they arrested 37-year-old Tyler Sharon last Friday after finding his father, Michael Sharon, dead in his home on Hill Street. Monday, a judge set Sharon's bond to $500,000. He's expected in court once again November 13th at 1:30.
We're turning now to a story that really rocked our entire community. The families of victims and survivors, of the Old National Bank mass shooting are planning to take legal action against the maker of the rifle the gunman used. WHAS11's Alex Dieter talked with an attorney about the possible claims we could see being made against Texas manufacturer Radical Firearms.
April 10th, 2023.
Meeting that there's an active shooter inside the building.
5 people dead and 8 others injured. Now, more than 6 months later, surviving victims and families of the Old National Bank mass shooting are planning to file a lawsuit against the Texas-based manufacturer that made the AR-15 rifle used that day.
We want to hold these manufacturers responsible for how they market their products, and we want to find a way to keep these weapons out of the hands of people who are in dark days mentally, and prevent these mass shootings from happening.
Louisville attorney Tad Thomas told WHAS11 he was hired by the wife of Jim Tutt and 5 others who were hurt in the downtown shooting.
They all want to make sure that weapons of mass destruction are not in the hands of people that are mentally unable to handle them.
Thomas says the lawsuit is at a halt until the LMPD investigation findings are released.
Because we think that will shed a lot of light onto how this tragedy occurred.
But at the end of the day, Thomas hopes for justice for these families and survivors.
We hope that this process that we go through in litigation will eventually be cathartic, and the families are standing up for their loved ones.
Alex Dieterer, WHAS 11 on your side.
Attorney Tad Thomas also notes once the lawsuit is filed, it's likely to be a long process which could even result in a trial. He's hoping to file by the end of the year.